Crypto was supposed to end an entire era of human history. No banks, no middleman, no stranger deciding whether your money moves or freezes. Just cold, perfect math. Code that couldn't be bribed, bought, or begged. They even had a word for it. Trustless. Money you don't have to trust anyone to use. It broke almost every rule the old world lived by. The bank's monopoly, borders, the idea that money needs permission to move. But there was one rule it never touched. One law no white paper, no blockchain, and no billionaire founder could code their way out of. And every crypto disaster you've ever heard of is just the sound of that one rule snapping back into place. To see the rule, you first have to understand the promise. And that means going back to a very bad year for trust. In 2008, the financial system was on fire. Banks too big to fail were failing. Governments printed money to plug the holes. And ordinary people watched institutions they'd trusted their whole lives gamble away their savings, then get bailed out for it. In that wreckage, an anonymous author, writing under the name Satoshi Nakamoto, published a 9-page document. The pitch was radical: money that no single person, company, or country controlled. Normally, a bank sits in the middle. At every step, you trust it not to lie, not to freeze you out, not to lose your money on a bad bet. Bitcoin's trick was to fire that middleman. Instead of one bank keeping one secret ledger, thousands of computers each keep an identical public copy, checking each other so no one can rewrite it. No one is in charge. So, the theory went, there's no one to trust. And for the narrow job it was built for, it worked. You could move value across the planet without anyone's permission. But this is exactly where the rule starts to whisper. Here's the idea the whole industry was built on, and quietly hoped you'd never examine. Trust is not a bug you can delete. It's more like energy. You can't destroy it, only move it somewhere else. Crypto never removed the need for trust. It relocated it out of the bank into a stack of new places nobody thought to look. Start with the keys. To truly own crypto, you hold a secret private key. That key is the money. Lose it, and your fortune is gone forever. No hotline, no reset, no manager to plead with. So, most people did the reasonable thing. They handed their coins to a company to hold the keys. An exchange, an app, something with a forgot password button. To use money built so you'd never trust an institution, millions chose to trust an institution. The middleman walked right back through the front door, wearing a shinier logo. Follow the trust further, and you find it scattered into corner after corner. You trust developers who wrote code you can't read. You trust the exchange to actually hold the coins it claims. You trust that a stablecoin really has a dollar behind it. You trust the team behind a new token not to take the money and vanish. Something so common, it has a name: a rug pull. Even crypto's most machine-like corner couldn't escape it. A movement grew up around the slogan, "Code is law." Then, in 2016, an attacker found a flaw in a famous project and drained a fortune, doing nothing but following the code exactly as written. The community was horrified. So, they voted and rewrote the history to undo it. In the moment that mattered, code is law bowed to human beings deciding what was fair. The pattern never changes. The trust doesn't disappear. It just hides in a corner, with no guard. And when trust hides where nobody's watching, that's exactly where it breaks. Go back to 2014. An exchange called Mt. handled most of the world's Bitcoin trades. Then it collapsed, and hundreds of thousands of coins vanished from customer accounts. The math of Bitcoin worked perfectly the whole time. The company holding it did not. Jump to 2022. A project called Terra offered a coin engineered to always be worth $1, held steady by clever code, not real reserves. The design broke, and tens of billions evaporated in days. Then, FTX, the biggest, most trusted exchange on Earth, with celebrity ads and its name on a stadium, imploded overnight. The customer money supposed to be safely inside simply wasn't. In every case, the blockchain was never hacked. The code did its job. What failed was the human layer wrapped around it. The exchange, the company, the founder. The exact spot where the trust had quietly been moved. That's the rule crypto couldn't break. Somewhere in any system that moves real value, a human being has to be trusted. You can shrink that spot, disguise it, bury it. You cannot make it vanish. Now the part the hype skips. In both directions. This isn't where I tell you crypto is a pure scam, and you get to feel clever for avoiding it. That's just as lazy as the hype. Because reducing trust, even if you can't erase it, is genuinely valuable. Trusting one piece of open code that thousands can inspect is a very different bet than blindly trusting one giant institution. Crypto really did shrink the trust problem. What was fake was the ending. It promised 0, and the honest number was never 0. So the real question was never trust or no trust. It's the one the industry hoped you'd forget. The trust moved. To where? And is that new place safer than the bank you ran from? Sometimes yes. And a lot of the time, painfully, no. So give crypto its due. It broke the bank's monopoly. It broke borders. It broke the idea that money needs a boss. But it never broke the oldest rule of all. Value rests on trust, and trust always has an address. Change the technology all you want. Someone, somewhere, is still holding the keys. So the next time something promises to remove trust completely, don't ask if it's possible. Ask where the trust just went, and whether you'd bet your money on that new address. If this changed how you hear the word trustless, hit subscribe. We break down the ideas behind the headlines. I'll see you in the next one.